I was not prepared for priesthood at all. It is a matter of faith.
We're doing this all for His glory.
The glory of God is what's running in my mind. The house of God is very effective when I go there and say, Lord, help me.
Yes, it's a hard route, but it's a lot more fulfilling in the end.
God is concerned about our eternity. The gap between tradition and non-traditional church is really diminishing. My mind doesn't take it, or my faith doesn't support it. He said that he's stupid. How can I compare my sinful mother to the purity of St. Mary?
Is masturbation a sin?
This generation is different.
And how does someone break that addiction?
Bench press double his
Oh.
and she was very successful. It's not words that affected me, it is action from this man. May the Lord continue to bless your work.
This is the Salt Podcast.
The Salt Podcast.
Let's pick up the Bible, let's read, let's pray.
Because that's what Jesus called me to do.
The Lord makes you that salt of the earth.
We need Christians to share the truth.
Preserve the world for Christ.
May this podcast be a beacon of light.
This is the Salt Podcast.
When we recorded episode 1 of the SALT podcast, we were honestly trying to find our feet. No studio, no real audience, no idea what we were doing. But the mission was clear. We wanted to have wholesome Christian content, not only for Christians, but for anyone searching. Since then, God has taken this podcast further than we ever imagined. 20 episodes later, over 40 million views across all platforms, and a community that spans the world over 91 countries just on Spotify. All built on real faith, raw stories, and our dream of evangelizing and bringing hope even to one listener. And today, we arrive at a milestone, episode 20, which marks the season 1 finale of the SALT podcast. So for episode 20, it's only fitting that we share it with our very first guest where it all began. Fr Jacob isn't just someone our audience loves, he is a spiritual guide to thousands, and after our episode, maybe now millions. He's someone who has helped lay the foundation for the entire journey. Welcome to the SALT podcast. I'm George Iskander, and joining me for episode 20 is my lovely co-host Simon Thomas Gilto, who I definitely could not have done this without. So I really would like to thank you, my brother. We joke a lot, but I couldn't have done this without you, and you're really like a son to me.
That was a really perfect speech until the very end. Well, I'm not going to make it about us. Without further ado, beautiful speech. Without further ado, I'm honoured to welcome back Fr Jacob Magdy. Let's give him a round of applause. Woo! Now, before we're going to start this podcast, I really want to say we have grown tremendously after our first episode. We were all nervous and jittery, and I took some lessons from that podcast. But one thing I do remember taking was I told George afterwards that no matter what happens, if God ever blesses us to have him on again, we need to get him a gift. So with that being said, we'd like to present to you this book, The Daily Wisdom Well, written by Mark Ralph. It's a very, very beautiful book where each and every single day you get new responses depending on the day with a scripture and a verse, and it starts your day in the best way. Now, yeah.
Thank you very much. This is very valuable, and I promise that I read it.
Whenever you read it, I'll start it on my birthday and then I'll keep going. But that's not the only thing, unfortunately. So I remember talking to George, and I don't know if you remember this, but after the episode, we were talking about shoes for some reason, and
He was wearing some fancy shoes. We liked his shoes.
He was wearing the school shoes that we used to wear back in the day. I remember. Yeah. And then we had asked you, what shoe size are you? And you were just being very humble with it. So George had to do some extra investigation. And with that being said, George and I would also like to present you with another gift. It's just a token of our appreciation for everything that you've done for us. You don't need to open it now, but it's a very, very, very comfortable pair of shoes that George and I picked out. We got a black colorway, so it's definitely allowable to wear it, but I promise you'll enjoy it. So
thank you.
This is just a small token of our appreciation.
I'm very appreciative of your love and your care. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So actually, the way we want to start our episode today is we asked our audience what they would like us to ask you. So this was a bit of a unique episode. So we thought what we'll do is we'll go on all our platforms and just ask people to send in their questions. So we got a whole bunch of questions. We'll probably go through just a few of them and maybe even expand on some questions with some of our own, and then have a gentle discussion, and then we'll probably lead into something that we've made called the Salty segment, which is where we ask you fast, rapid-fire questions, and we get like one-word responses from you. That's probably how we'll end. But I'll let Simon lead us into our first question.
So, just to give you a bit of backstory, there were a lot of questions, and George and I went through them, and we figured we'll get as many as we can in. So, the first question was, how do you reconcile the harsh God of the Old Testament with the loving God of the New Testament?
It is a tough question because it makes many people a little bit disturbed about how the Old Testament shows that God was very strict to the extent that it doesn't match the softness of the hearts in the New Testament. But some factors can be considered. For example, at the start of any system, you have to be strict. I recall Pope Shenouda speaking about Hananiah and Sapphira, why St. Peter was very tough on them, because it is a start. When you start any project, you have to be very strict. Otherwise, if the start is a bit lenient, then possibly it doesn't arrive at the goal. That's one thing. The other thing, that we are not in a position to assess why God does things. Yani, we know that God was very successful in the way he guided people to him. And despite that there's a little bit of toughness in the stand of God against sins in the Old Testament, we understand from God is concerned about our eternity. One of the reasons that God created us is to make us happy with him. And in order for this to happen, then God was a bit strict, which is very similar to us, for example, when we know that there is no solution for a disease like cancer. It has to be removed despite the pain that can happen during the operation or whatever. But we know that it's a must. So God saw that it's a must to make things strict in the Old Testament. But when Jesus came and among us and took body of human, he showed a level of care and is amazing. I remember, for example, how Abu Namat al-Miskin was commenting on the event that the Lord did not condemn the lady that was adulterous. A very nice conversation happened between Jesus and that lady. He said to her, "Where are the people that complained against you?" She didn't answer. Then Jesus elaborated, "Has anyone condemned you?" She said, "No, Master." Then Jesus said, "Neither do I." So the level of care and love God showed even towards sinners is amazing. And this actually one of the reasons that we understood. Yani, I had an experience of one lecturer at uni far in Egypt, that the first half of the year he was very strict, yani giving bad marks and the other half he was very gentle. And he moved our hearts because we knew that he can be very strict and strictness is needed. But the other half of the year was very gentle. He comes on the weekend to help a student that missed something. So the love that we have for Jesus being very gentle maybe needed the toughness of the Old Testament. But it is a source of trouble for some people. They say, how God allowed this to happen? We don't know. If the plan from God is like that, then that's it.
I think correct me if I'm wrong, Abuna or Father, the way I kind of interpret the Old Testament is we see God in the Old Testament be extremely loving in many circumstances. Just like when Adam and Eve sinned straight away, he clothed them, or other circumstances throughout the Bible, we see God's tender heart, looking after the widow or anything like that. But at the same time, the harshness came because he needed to make a sacred people for himself, so the Messiah can come, which in essence is out of love, so he can save us. So in order to kind of purify the people and allow for Saint Mary to come around and then eventually, Jesus to be born and that lineage to happen, my understanding, that's why he was very strict, separate them from these people. If he didn't do that, then how could he save us? Is that?
This is a very nice way of thinking this, yeah. I always feel that the Lord sometimes doesn't punish, but he denies privileges. Like, even when he said to Adam, paradise is not for you now, was a privilege that Adam didn't deserve. So he said to him that you are not loyal to me, then I take my offer back, which is to live in paradise. So sometimes we look like parents with their children in study. And all the year they feel that mom or dad are tough, pushing us to study all the time. But they appreciate that very much, the same idea. And they wouldn't appreciate that, their kindness, except if they pass through the message that my parents are tough because they like to show me their love in the due time.
Father, what do you say to the people that's oftentimes when they're falling into a sin or just a long-term sin, for whatever the sin may be, when they say, oh, God's left me, God's no longer with me? Is it us that's leaving God or God leaving?
Yeah, well, your comment is very true, that it's I that leave God. He doesn't leave me. If I am loyal to God, I see his power. Loyalty is a virtue that reveals to me how God can be gentle to me when I follow him. When I behave in a way that shows that I am loyal to God, then I see his power. In the Old Testament, there's an event that happened with one of the kings of Judah, that he saw the power of God in a certain situation when 1 million soldiers came to attack his country, and he didn't have enough power to stand against these 1 million invaders. But the Lord supported him. After a number of years, he had other threats, and he misbehaved in dealing with this new threat. Then a prophet from God came to him and said, you behaved in a very unwise way, because the eyes of the Lord search the earth here and there to show himself powerful for those who are loyal to him. And this is very true. If I like to see the power of God, then I should behave in a way that proves my loyalty to him. If I say that I don't see the power of God, that's because possibly I'm not loyal enough. I don't think that God punishes, but he just take back his privileges, and this will make me more loyal. When I know that I'm not loyal enough, then I don't see how he is supportive. This happens in many things. And I saw some people in business, very successful by the care of God. Why? Because they are loyal. They, for example, look after the needy. They fill the place with their prayers and they're following the commandments of God. Then they reap the effect of their loyalty.
Hey, George.
What, bro?
I just want to ask your advice on something.
Oh, okay.
Lately, I feel like my prayer life has been non-existent.
Why do you think that is?
Because I'm always on my phone.
Oh, well, there's an easy solution for that.
Yeah, what's that?
Well, have you heard of Hallow app?
No.
It's the #1 Christian app in the world.
Hold on, let me have a look.
Yeah, it's got a wide range of content. It's got rosary, audio Bible in a year, daily reflections, sleep prayers, and music.
Oh, wow.
It's deepened my faith through guided prayer and meditation. And you know what else? It's got a thriving global community of believers, so you can connect and also put prayer requests.
So this app is like an all-in-one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it means they're probably going to charge an arm and a leg.
If you use our link, hello.com/SALTPODCAST, you'll actually get 3 months for free.
Oh, wow. I definitely need to do that. Thank you so much, bro.
Back to the episode.
What's your opinion, Sam?
I agree with what you're saying. I think it's not us that's ever. We never say, "Oh, God's leaving us." It's always with our sins as a consequence of our actions. We're leaving God, and the moment we go to church more, the moment we attend masses, the moment we just immerse our life in God, then everything becomes a lot clearer. But I understand when people say, "Oh, I feel like God's left me," because they're immersed in the other side, the sin, where they can't, their side isn't pure. They're not seeing everything with a clear eye. But I feel like once they choose to say, "I want to become closer to God again," it's like everything just sort of comes into itself again. We've all fallen into that. So my opinion is when you're sinning and you feel as though you're away from God, everything just sort of becomes very bad around you. But when you choose to go the harder route, which is get closer to God and attend his masses and hear the word of God, then yes, it's a hard route, but it's a lot more fulfilling in the end.
I just listened to a talk by Abuna Dawood Lamai about how I enjoy the peace. And he said something similar to what he said. Yani if I am following his commandment, then I enjoy peace without a lot of effort. It just happened that, and the reverse is true. And when I misbehave, I lack peace, and it's natural that I started doubting that the Lord will be supportive to me.
Well, leading to our next question, I think it's very important always to have role models in front of us. Of course, Jesus is the best role model, but in our Orthodox faith, we also look at the saints. So one of the questions that someone asked is, which saint is Father Jacob's biggest role model and why?
I was very lucky to deal with Pope Carolus when he was alive. And I remember how this impacted my life. And sometimes we need to see something that makes our faith very strong. And I saw things like that. You know that many of the miracles can be true, say, 99% or 99.9%, but seldom to find a miracle that is 100%. And for example, healing. After someone receives miraculous healing, he may say that, oh, it was coincidence, or the doctors misdiagnosed the thing. But I saw from Pope Carolus things that 100%, it's impossible not to be a miracle. For example, when there's a guy in our church, I love this story. He was a deacon, and he's still living, so he's, maybe Pope Carolus was older than him by 15, 20 years. And he had a problem in the church, and he went to complain to Pope Carolus. But when he went there, he expected that someone will be at the door to allow him in. But he went to his residence where he lives. And no one stopped him or asked him. More shocking is that the door was open that leads to Pope Carolus' bedroom. So he felt shame on me. It's a trivial problem. I have to go. So he went down the stairs. Then he heard clear voice saying, "Come up." And he mentioned his name. His name is Helmi. He heard a voice saying, "Come in, Helmi." He looked, there are no cameras. But anyway, he went in. And he found Pope Carolus sitting in the corner, far from the stairs. And he said to him, Pope Carolus knew the problem. and he appeased his anger or fear, and he went down shocked. But how did he know my name? How did he know I'm on the stairs? And he says this story with, this is 100% miracle, because how would he know his name? How there's no cameras? No, how did he know things from Coca? So I saw these things, and also I saw the power that he displayed just following God. There's a nice story that happened when I was studying there, that the defense minister put military equipment in schools and churches and mosques, because if Israel hit the place, then the international opinion will be how harsh they are, that they bombard the churches. And then there was a student there. He became after that a priest, and he went to Pope Carolus saying to him, "You are responsible. Speak to the defense minister that he should not hide military equipment in the cathedral." And then Pope Carolus shifted his chair and looked at an icon for San Mark, and he said to San Mark, "Do something, San Mark." This became Abuna Yohannes Kamal, this use. As he left, an idea came to his mind that this Pope is very passive. He does nothing. Moreover, he speaks to a paper, because San Mark was a paper. But in that same night, there was broadcast from Israel about this phenomenon. And they just mocked the defense minister doing that. So out of embarrassment, the defense minister shifted the equipment from the place. Then in the morning, there was no military equipment in the air. And then Pope Carolus said, he's nice, he has a nice sense of humor. He said, "Fin al-wad al-limit, where is this stubborn boy?" And he came and he said to him, "Your Holiness, I have dirty brain, but my tongue didn't say anything. Forgive me." And then he made joke with him. But this also made, he became after that Abuna Yohannes Kamal. All his life, he's the one that wrote and he spoke a lot about we have to live in his, because that was the first event that he saw from him. So, can I say another story?
Please, please.
Abuna Mark at San Mark had a dream once on the eve of the 9th of March. He didn't observe that 9th of March is the feast of Pope Carolus. But in the dream, Pope Carolus said to him, "Skip the school tomorrow. Don't go to school. Come to the church." In the morning, his mom told him, "Let's go to school." "Mom, I'm not going to school." I said, "Why?" Because he was a bit shy to say this. I said, "Mom, please, I'm not going." Then he came to the church and he discovered that it is his feast, Pope Carolus. And moreover, we had a procession at the end. And Uncle Samir Ayad, the top deacon then, قال له تعال, he was sitting at the back. قال له come here. كان اسمه Albert. Come here, Albert. قال له carry the icon of Pope Carolus during the procession. The next year, 9th of March, he didn't go to school. He went again to the church. But this time he said, "I'd like to make sure that it's a miracle 100%. So he hid himself at the back such that no one observed that he's there. Then the head deacon on that day, for some unbelievable event, he searched until he got him from the back of the chair,
Wow.
carried the So since that day, Pope Carolus to him is
That's unbelievable.
so that's the key. it's really, we're lucky to have a person like that in our generation. And especially that he was living when we dealt with him.
Can I ask, what's a story of his that stays with you your whole life? What's something that's happened or you were there and you will never forget it?
Something happened to me personally, that I was studying in the Faculty of Theology, and Pope Shenouda then was a bishop. He taught us 4 subjects, and that was the best time in my life.
Wow.
He's amazing in the way he makes you love God. And then Pope Carolus was in his last few months, so he decided to let Pope Shenouda go and stay in the monastery in solitude, preparing him for the big responsibility that will come. But I didn't understand. Why did he say to him, go to the monastery? So I was very upset, because my joy was in that. And then I went one day, and a colleague of mine became after that monk. قال لي, Amba Shenouda is not here. He's not going to teach us anymore. I said, why? He said, Pope Carolus said to him, go to the monastery. And don't speak to people. Just live in solitude. Preparing him for the future. And then I was very upset. And then my colleague said, Pope Carolus is praying in the cathedral. Let us attend with him كعشية. And kiss his hand. I said, I'm not going to kiss his hand. قال لي, what impolite comment from you. Why do you say that? And then I tried to find the reason. And the reason is that Pope Carolus didn't like people to catch his hand, especially women. So he didn't like to differentiate between men and women. He just said that if you greet me, if you like to kiss my hand, kiss your hand, but don't grab my hand. So I said, that's the reason. Jesus didn't do that. I let other very impolite for me. And we stayed outside speaking until Ashaya finished. And he came down the stairs. As we saw him coming down, there were about maybe 30, 40 people in the place. All of us rushed to kiss his hand. Everyone kissed his hand happily, except I. When I tried to kiss his hand, he pushed me saying, is it not sufficient for you? I said, when I said that, he was 2 kilometers away from me. Since that day, I was scared.
Wow.
If I do any sin, then he'll know.
He'll even come in the dreams as well. Everything.
I think we're very blessed and very lucky in our church that we have saints that we look up to. What would you say to people that don't have that, other denominations of Christianity that don't appreciate saints and they see saints as a distraction from Jesus?
We say to them that it's not necessary for salvation. And if I don't believe in the power of saints, it's not necessary for salvation. I quote now Pope Shenouda saying that. But I'm the loser, because it's a resource. It is really a resource. Sometimes things happen from saints that you wonder, did they really listen to how? I'll tell you something that happened between St. Mary and I. One of my sons, I didn't see him for a long time. And I was encircling the church with Shoria until I went at the back, Icon St. Mary. And I spoke to St. Mary in my heart, saying, you are a mother. And I am now father and mother because my wife died. And I long to see my son. Would you do things that I will see him soon? By the time I finished the circle was there, I found my son, Tonya, expecting me to allow him to be a deacon.
Wow.
I said, St. Mary,
Where
did she get him from? I don't know. Because I was at the door. He didn't come from the door. He came maybe from the back door or something. But so she is a resource. So there was a lovely Protestant guy. They are honest people. They love God. And He said that my difficulty is the saints. Do you accept me to become Orthodox, but don't pressure me to have anything with the saints? I see everything in Christ. That's more than sufficient for me. I said to him what Pope Shenouda taught us. It's not necessary for salvation, but you are a loser. And he doesn't know any saint other than St. George. And I said to him, try. And on the same day, he was having a difficulty. And because he doesn't know any other saint, he said, St. George, would you... And the problem was solved miraculous. He came to me the same day, saying to me, it's true, it's really true. And literally they help. Yes, they do. And how unlucky some people that they do not know that the resource exists. So I said to people, answering George, if you are really in need of something, try this resource. And if it happens, then you'll know that now I discovered a good resource.
What do you say to someone who oftentimes uses logic instead of faith? So say every day in their day-to-day, they're very, very much reliant on themselves, on their surroundings, and they choose not to have faith as an option, like only when things go bad, if that makes sense. How do you sort of speak to someone
we
about
say
that?
to them that we believe in things that we never saw. All of us believe in electron. We know even its weight and its charge. Minus 1.6 into 10 to the minus 19. For example, did I ever saw an electron? Of course, my eyes cannot. So we believe in things based on faith of our parents. But we have to be wise. We don't believe naively. We have evidence that this is the case. I say to them the same, yani, if you like everything to be seen by your eyes, then you will miss many things, including scientific things. What loss I will have if I don't believe in electronics? You know, the PET scan, for example. It all depends on believing that there's something called positron. And we benefit from positron in PET scans, but we never saw the positron. It's unseen. Its weight is something into 10 to the minus 31. The biggest microscopes wouldn't. So we have to understand. We believe in things that we were taught by great scientists because they are more clever than us. You know, when Einstein introduced the theory of relativity, they mocked him, and he has great sense of humor. Okay, I'll explain it otherwise. If you sit with a nice-looking girl in her 20s, 1 hour, and you sat 1 hour with an old man, a very silly person, is this 60 minutes equal to 60 minutes? This is relativity. وضحك وسابه. He laughed and lifted him.
It's a good way to convey the message, to be honest.
There's some other scientist that invented his name is Fourier transform. And when he's represented his first paper about Fourier transform, some mathematicians lifted the place. He said that he's stupid. It cannot be, because to replace non-analytic function by a series of analytic functions is impossible. Again, he was disappointed. Not like Einstein laughed, but this Fourier was upset because they lifted while he's teaching how to make it. They said he's stupid. Now, of course, we know that Fourier transform is very important in many applications. So simply, if I reject theory because my mind doesn't take it or my faith doesn't support it, I am the loser. May the Lord strengthen our faith. And may the Lord also show these people, you know why Protestant people rejected. In the 16th century, Martin Luther was a Catholic monk, but he tried to rectify some mistakes in the church. But his mistake is that he left the church, and the church also excommunicated him. And the end effect is that they started their own churches. They needed people to stay with them, not to return to the Catholic Church. So they tried to attack anything that the Catholic Church does not clearly supported by the Bible. For example, saints, no, there's no saints. Relics of saints, no, this is not suitable. Priesthood, there's no need for priesthood. So they were motivated by survival, because if they don't prove their point, then people will return back to the Catholic Church. But thanks to the Lord, now it's not the case. There are many Protestant people now that speak very well about, say, St. Mary in particular. For example, Samah Maurice is known leader of the Protestant movement, and he says clearly that why should I deny the fact that she said by her prophetic power that from now on all generation will bless me. So many people now know. Mother Basilia Schlink, for example, she wrote a book about St. Mary. At the end of the book, there is a 4-page poem about St. Mary. And she said, how can I deny her prophecy? She said, Mother Basilia Schlink, that she said that from now on, she said that when I glorify St. Mary, I'm obedient to the Bible. So it needs wisdom and needs understanding, because it's a matter of following the crowd. If they say that St. Mary has no effect, also it's a matter of culture. At one stage, the leader of Protestant churches in Egypt had discussion with Amba Musa, and it was recorded. He said to Amba Musa, look, Your Grace, my dad died when my mother was 31 years old, and she refused to get married in honor of my deceased father. Now, how can I compare my sinful mother to the purity of St. Mary? It's a matter of culture, because in the West, there's nothing wrong about a person that loses his partner and remarry. But not in the East. There are many things known to the people in the East, like consecration, for example. Once they had auction of a chair that King Farouk of Egypt used. It was sold by 40,000 Egyptian pounds. The chair that you can buy by 10 pounds. Because consecration is a very important concept in the East, but not in the West. Not at all. But the good thing is that many Western people now understand. Even the concept of salvation with works and faith. Now they understand that works are two types. Works of the law of, and for example, keeping Saturday, circumcision, whatever. These are not important at all. But what's important is the works of love. Who in his right mind as a Christian doesn't see that salvation need my heart to be responsive by helping others? These are the acts of love. But acts of the law are not important. No one should impose on me to keep the Sabbath or thanks to the Lord that now, because of the understanding and more depths of reading and, of course, programs on TV and YouTubes, now they are approaching each other. I see great hope in the future that the gap between tradition and non-traditional church is really diminishing. Yani maybe a matter of say 40, 50 years, and they understand that there is no need for this. Yani, no need. Yani, keep praying. Well, I tried to answer yani, your question. Now it's my turn to ask you. I ask you, Simon, first.
Okay.
I observed that your life is between very sweet, nice humor and very open eyes to what's needed. Yeah, for example, you make jokes, nice, and then all of a sudden you say, "Do you need water?" How did you acquire this nice virtue?
Thank you for noticing, Abuna. I didn't realize. Sometimes I make good jokes. George doesn't think so, but
I think you're the funniest person I know.
You don't know many people. I think definitely credit to my mum. When I was growing up, I had a lot of brothers, so I used to get hit a lot, but that's neither here nor there, just brothers. You grow up. But my mum always taught, because I was always close to my mum, she always taught me, no matter what, to always try and make people happy as best as you can. And she always put me in the church. So she always tried to make me grow up in the church, and something I'm very, very thankful for, because I think if I wasn't in the church and if God didn't give me a woman like my mother by my side my whole life, I probably wouldn't be the way I am.
Shout out to Irene. Tante Irene, thank you for Simon.
Don't ever say that again. I love you, Mum. But yeah, I think when you have good role models in your life, it can shape your life. Even George, to an extent. I don't want to say this, but George is a very big role model of mine. Even when he decided to start the podcast as well, I was very thankful that he asked me.
Thankful didn't feel thankful.
Yeah, look, he had to ask 100 times, but when he said we're going to have Father Yaub, inshallah, for the first episode, then I jumped on it, and then I was hoping to leave after, but it didn't work. So 20 episodes later, we're here.
Now it's an additional virtue that you enjoy is that you make people working with you very happy. I'm sure that George is very happy about you.
I wish he answers my calls more, but otherwise I'm very happy.
George, you call 30 times an hour. Like your own wife wouldn't answer that many times.
No, my wife answers.
But yeah.
Now the question is for George. Do you pray for this podcast?
I do pray for the podcast a lot, because part of the mission of this podcast is to let God work through us. We don't want to be seen. We want God to be seen. So I think it's important to pray. And, before every episode, we always ask the guests to pray. We say our prayer because we want God to be present and bless. And we're doing this all for His glory. We don't want any of the glory. We want the glory to be on God, and we want the next generations to have something to look at that is wholesome. And what's beautiful about Christian content, or content in general, is that it lasts forever. So somebody can watch something 3 years from now when they're in a certain circumstance in their life that maybe was on our show, and it could help them. So
sure, that's wonderful.
I beg to differ just quickly. I've been with George a couple times in church, and people do stop him and they say, "You're the host of the Salt Podcast." And as much as he gives the glory to God, there's one big smile on his face. He turns into a tomato for the next 10 minutes.
The smile is because it means people are watching, which is what makes me happy. It means people see it, and it's getting spread. And if I could share, one of the idea of the podcast really came. It was inspired by you. I don't know if you remember this, but maybe 10 years ago, I had asked you, you probably will not remember this, but I had asked you, Abuna, I feel that you've really done something really wondrous with St. Mark's Church. It's flourishing. You have a lot of wisdom. I'd love to, do something, maybe record you, interview. And you completely said, no, not at all.
I don't
completely shut it down.
I don't blame him at all.
And this was maybe 10 years ago. You said, no, I don't want to do anything like that. And the conversation was finished. And then maybe 10 years later, I think I heard a sermon at church, and someone was saying, what do you do to evangelize? Like, we're called as Christians to evangelize. What do you do? And I started thinking and examining myself, And I felt like that was my Saint Anthony moment, where something really hit me in my heart, and I just kept thinking about it. What am I doing? How am I bringing people to God? And I thought, I'm not the kind of person that's going to go on a train and start preaching, or in the street, or even at work colleagues. I work with someone that's Jewish, and I don't want maybe bring up Christianity, or I didn't want to push it down people's throats. So then that's where I thought, why not do something like this as a podcast? So I thought it was really beautiful that when the idea came up again, the second time I asked you, you said yes, and you were our first episode. So I took that as a sign from God that it was meant to be.
It is really. Yani, I heard Abuna Dawood Lamai saying that if the resource of speaking to people online, to be watched on TV or laptops or so, if it was at the time of St. Paul, he may not have needed to travel. He stays in his room and his room. Thanks to the Lord that this is the feeling, because it's really miraculous that the number of people that watch and they believe and they benefit, especially from events that happened. The power of prayers with us in the church shows us. We've seen that number of times, how the Lord can respond to our petition that can happen because of prayer asking. May the Lord continue to bless your work. And something really that makes a very strong tool is not utilized enough. That the fact that people can listen while they're in the comfort of their bedroom or something like that, and because the knowledge that we see on the internet, large percentage of it are not holy. To see people making holy programs is a great, pleasing to God for sure. May the Lord give you the wisdom and the strength to continue.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Abuna.
Oh, I enjoyed that quite a bit.
Hey, Simon. Simon.
One sec, George, please. What was that for?
Haven't you heard about the Daily Wisdom Well?
No!
I think it's really important that you take a look at it. I've been reading it a lot lately.
366 biblical reflections for Christian business leaders?
Yeah, it's actually really good. I've been reading it a lot, and basically what's great about it, it's only 5 minutes a day, making it very doable if you have a very busy schedule. And it's not like generic devotional material. It actually addresses distinct pressures, ethical decisions, and dilemmas that leaders in business face.
Wow, and there's one for each and every single day of the year.
Every single day of the year, you got a little verse and a little contemplation.
Wait, hold on, let me check my birthday, February 1st. Oh, loving God. Let me check what's your birthday again?
You don't know my birthday?
Anyways, tell me more.
What's great about this is you can go to our link in our bio and basically just put code SALTPODCAST when you go to purchase, and you'll get 25% off.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah. Well, back to the episode.
Abuna, thank you. I want to ask a question that impacts, I think I'd want to say, a majority of men, but
This was our most asked question when we actually when we asked what should we ask you. Multiple people have asked us this question.
yeah. So it's a sort of a two-part question: is masturbation a sin, and how does someone break that addiction?
Well, sure, the Lord is not happy by it. It's very clear, not only in Christianity, in all religion, that any sexual pleasure out of marriage is not supported by God at all, because it's the best thing that makes a husband and wife long to each other, love each other. If we resort to have pleasure out of sexual acts outside marriage, it impacted in a very negative way on the marriage. And I observed, for example, that because of pornography and masturbation, there are many people that lose the mutual trust between the husband and wife. And it's a great loss. How to overcome, I say some tips that may be useful. Number one, which is the language of Callistus Ware. He was metropolitan. He said that shift your focus from something bad to something interesting and useful. It has to be interesting to drag your attention. It has to be useful that you don't regret that you did it. One of the best ways to shift the focus from sexual desire to a good thing is sport. St. Paul sent one of his disciples an epistle, his disciple Timothy. He said to him, escape, don't resist, escape lustful thoughts. And in the same epistle, he spoke to him about physical exercise. So sure, it was the Holy Spirit guiding St. Paul to give a hint about how sport can be supporting us to escape. It's not only sexual mistakes, anger, anything that is driven by feeling. If you shift the focus to something, what is that something? You know, in the language of computer programming, there's something called bag of tricks, maybe subroutines or something like that. You drag from this bag of tricks when they are needed. It's good for me to have bag of tricks that can shift my focus. For example, I can think where I'm going with my wife the next holiday, or how can I arrange encouragement for my children for their academic future. These are things that drag my attention. That's one tip. Another tip is the love of Christ. When I have a nice icon of the Lord in front of me and I say to the Lord, because I love you, I don't like you to be disappointed. One of the best prayers that you can see is designed by Catholic nuns, that they say, my Lord Jesus Christ, I don't like to serve your enemy. I don't like to do something that disappoints you. Even prayer for repentance for them is personal love between me and the Christ. I don't like to disappoint my Lord. By what? A third point that is very supportive is to understand that the majority of our depressing experiences comes from the fact that I'm not pleasing God. You know, peace is a gift from God. When Jesus sent his disciples to the different villages, he said to them, when you enter a house, give them peace, which means that it's a gift. And he made it very clear that that gift can be taken back. When he said that there's no son of peace there, then take your peace back, which means that lack of peace comes from disappointing God. So I am the loser what benefit I get from few minutes of sexual pleasure that will end by the rest of the day or the week being unhappy. Another point is to remember the concept of loyalty. It's very important to understand when I'm loyal, the Lord listens to me. If you go through the Bible to see how many times it was said that because of our commitment towards God, He answers us. For example, He says, the eyes of the Lord are focused on those who are keeping their righteousness. And the reverse is very true, that when I do something that upsets God, I lose peace. I can promise to God, give vows to the Lord. It's not advisable that I give vow that I never fall in masturbation, especially unmarried people. Married people are possible. But unmarried people is very hard. So it's not, but I can give vows that are implementable. For example, if my problem is pornography, I may not be able to give a vow that I never watch anything bad, but I can give a promise that I will never take electronics to my bedroom, which is very achievable. And just keep the mobile laptop outside the bedroom. One other thing is that, say, to visit monastery. When you visit the monastery, by the way, in the monastery, the monks agreed, I know from some of them that are close to me, they agreed that they will pray for visitors. And you go there, stay, and return back with tremendous peace. You don't know where this come from. Come from the monks praying on me. And also a model of they are happy. By what? By being close to God. Once I was in the monastery, and I spoke to Abuna Shnuda there. I said to him, when I come to visit, I normally buy few things for the monks. But sometimes I buy things that they don't need or they have plenty of it. So tell me, when I come next time, what should I bring? Ali, nothing. You want to help me because I get something not. Ali, okay, I help you by information. Yesterday I finished the mass. Between the church and my unit, maybe 4-minute walk. Along the way, I remember that I didn't eat banana for a long time. I don't like banana, but I just remember that I didn't eat banana for a long time. I arrived at my unit. In front of the door was a box, maybe 20 kilos, banana.
Wow.
I said, Lord, did you read my mind? Because normally when people get something like food, they put it in the kitchen. They don't put it in front of. So why they are happy? Because they obey God. Something important. I can get help from holy people. We don't confess to each other because we'll disturb people when we confess about our mistake. But I can benefit from them. Yani, last week I visited a place with very holy two brothers. It was for fun, nothing special. We prayed, of course, read the Bible, but it's mainly to spend time together. You don't know how it benefited me. For example, they pray the 7 Psalms, 7 prayer of Igbeah. They are blessed. One of the doors, for some reason, doesn't open. I tried hard, technically done. And then one of them observed, قال لي عايز تفتح البتاع؟ قلت له أحمد فتح حاجة اتفتح. قلت له it must be blessing يعني. So to have blessed friends will motivate us to enjoy something that will help us. And it's really useful. يعني some of the spiritual practices are one thing that I observed, and what I'm saying now may be relevant to Christian people, that when they go to the house of God in expectation of His help, some 15 years ago, we were expecting a visiting priest, very holy man. He died now, and out of politeness, I don't like to start the mass or even anoint Tonias until he comes. But he came late, almost half an hour. So the deacons were upset, they have to start. And one of them was heavy smoker. So he couldn't wait. He went outside and smoked cigarettes before the mass. And when Abuna came, they came with Tonias to be anointed. Then another deacon leaned on Abuna and said, don't anoint his Tonia. he was just smoking outside before the mass. But Abuna is very wise. He told him, what's that got to do with you? Are you God to leave that? So he anointed the way and he served. I was anxious to know how he, at the time of Holy Communion, he came in the queue. This priest was Sudanese, so the nice accent of the Sudanese. He told him, put your hand on the altar. The guy was filled. And choose one of two things. Either the cigarettes or the body of Christ. Based on that, have Holy Communion or not. Then he was nice deacon. He said, I promised God while my hands on the altar that I never touch cigarette again. Since that day, he didn't touch a cigarette.
Wow.
So the commitment to go to that church and pour ourselves in front of God and say to him, help me, Lord, will never be in vain. Never. I saw that number of times in a marvelous way. When people go to the house of God, it's like when I visit you. I may telephone you, ask you for something, but different when I come to your place begging you for something. That's the same with the house of God. The house of God is very effective when I go there and say, Lord, help me. There's a lovely deacon in our church is suffering from masturbation. I put the priest put the
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
The hat, the priest hat.
Yeah. I leave it in the altar. He puts a piece of paper in it. What this piece of paper say? Please, Father, intercede on my behalf that the Lord will heal me from this bad desire. So when I replace this bad habit by something useful, I go to a gym where the personal trainer is a very lovely man. When you start with him, he helps me, but he doesn't charge me because as a friend. He's a very lovely Muslim guy, very devout killer to the love of God. And his habit is to take a video for you the first day and take another video after 2 months and show you the difference. So it's very useful. You come to the feeling that it helped me a lot. I became the desire of another thing with the same obsession. There's a lovely guy that was studying in North Queensland. And I know his family. Before he started his study there, he came to my room, sat with me as a friend. He was 130 kilogram and he's as short I am. So he's Then he went and I didn't see him for 2 years. Then I went to visit the place. I looked, is him or no? Because he became 65 kilos.
Wow.
Exactly half. So I said, impossible. Impossible to lose half your weight. But he was very muscly. And he said, we sat on the table to have dinner, he was opposite me. Then somebody came and called him by his name. The same guy. I'll tell you, are you? Yes, I am. I'll tell you what happened to you. I'll read there. He wrote on his chest, obsession. Something very useful. The word obsession is a bit negative. But when you get obsessed by something useful, it saves you from much worse thing.
Wow.
And that's him. He goes 6 days to the gym, and he loves that challenge.
That's amazing.
He bench press double his.
Yeah, that's like George. George as a warmer.
If you bench press your weight, you are strong. 1.5 your weight, you are very strong. Double your weight is a gift of
astronomical.
That's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
I remember one of the bodybuilders in our church came and said to me, I'm too embarrassed because I stopped masturbation, but not for the sake of God. For what sake? Only for bodybuilding. So it's,
Take what you can get.
but above all, it's the love of the Lord.
To definitely just shift everything. So
Yeah.
the desire will be there, but shift that
Yes,
desire
it's
into something
very-
more
very-
productive.
Very effective because ascetic life being tough against any sin or against any desire makes the devil puzzle. Yeah, for example, he can attack me by my desires, but if I refuse desire, then I'll become having authority above the devil. That's why saints that expel devils, a condition is that they are ascetic. When Pope Tawadros came to Sydney, he had problem with his back. So one of the physiotherapists went to help him. And he spoke to the lady that manager there. And she said to him, "Who is this man?" Allah is the leader of our church. قالت له, he has luxurious room with nice bed, but he never used the bed. Allah, how did you know? قالت له, we covered the bed in a certain way. It stays as it is. He stayed good number of days. He never slept on bed.
Wow.
Because in this way, when I say to the Lord, I follow you. We had a program at St. Mark Church of 40 days purity, that I don't watch any bad thing, I don't fall in masturbation. And I dared to say to them, put a condition, put a request and see the power. Then 2 cases that I saw at the end of the 40 days. One of them said to the Lord, I'll keep myself pure for 40 days, but my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, has been married for a number of years with no children. And on the 40th day or 39th or something like that, she made a test, she was pregnant. يعني another person graduated from a course and he had no job in Sydney. At last he got a job in Melbourne and he doesn't like to go there. He was engaged and engaged to a Sydney girl, and he said the same, 40 days of purity, but Lord, find me a job. Again on the 40th day he got a job of a place walking distance from his house, not in Melbourne.
Wow.
Even
better.
Somebody confesses with Abuna Elijah. I don't know this boy, but Abuna Elijah told me that he was struggling with education, and he never saw distinction or had distinction ever. Again, after the 40 days, the result came. He got 1 or 2 subject high distinction.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. This makes me carry the the burden of, it's a burden. When I keep my purity without masturbation, I say to the Lord, you are the only one that knows how hard it is, how suffering it is. But when the Lord responds to the person by answering his petition, his joy out of them. However, falling in a bad habit like masturbation is not punishable, but it may make me robbed from a good thing that I lose because I didn't show loyalty. It's the top loyalty. Because it's not the harder the situation, the more valuable in the eye of God.
It's very true.
One last thing in this regard that's very important is to have a confession father. True that who is my confession father? He's a human anyway, and he may be sinful like me, But at least I know that someone is praying for me. There was a very nice priest, famous, اسمه أبونا يوسف أسعد. And he had one of his spiritual daughters befriending a person that's not suitable for marriage. But was very interesting boy, and she loved him. And she said to him, don't speak to me about this boy. I'm going to marry him anyway. And okay. We speak about prayer, reading the Bible, fasting, but we leave this alone. And he decided something crazy, that he'll do 40 matanias for her every day. Wow. And he was a bit overweight, and he was in his 50s. So it's not easy for him to make 40 matanias every day for one person. And she had a dream. He wrote it in a book called توبني فأتوب. Give me repentance, Lord, then I'll be repentant. She had a dream of her confession father, Abu Yusuf, making these 40 matanias. And he was struggling because it's hard for him, pouring himself, standing, praying for her. Then she went to him the day after and said to him, you do matanias for me? I said, yes. How did you know? I saw you.
Wow.
Yeah. And because of this, she decided to stop the relationship with this boy. So to see the confession father praying for me and supporting me, especially if they are gentle. One day I needed to confess, and my confession father was overseas. And I don't like to disturb my co-priests by revealing my own sin. Not caring about myself, caring about them. Because it will be disturbing for them that I confess shameful sin. Then Amba Daniel came to pray with us. And I said to him, give me 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I need to confess something, and you absolve me. And when he observed that my talk will go into the direction of embarrassment, I found him falling on his knees and grabbing me as if hanging on me, and he said, don't say anything. I read the absolution for me. That was very strong motivation for me to be keeping away from sin. It's hard, of course it's hard, but pleasing to God for sure. It's very pleasing. And that may be the reason of miracle performance. Pope Carolus, before his death by a very short time, he was sitting on a chair in the church, and he fell asleep because of medication, heavy medication that was taken. And they brought an evil possessed person to him. And he was sleeping. But the person produced big noise and fell on the ground and stood healed completely. And then his disciple, Abuna Raphael, he said, of course. They said to him, he didn't pray. He didn't even put the cross on his head. How? He was healed. Of course. The devil knows what people do in secrecy. Pope Carolus was very holy. So he spent time close to God, and God make him, because both the devil and God know that he is spending his time in purity and prayer. And may the Lord help us, because this generation is different. When I was your age, if the police catch me having a book with sinful photos, I may go to jail.
Different times now.
Now, if the police knows that I don't keep, I will.
Then they'll go talk to you.
Hey, George,
What, bro?
I just want to ask you advice on something.
Oh, okay.
Lately, I feel like my prayer life has been non-existent.
Why do you think that is?
Because I'm always on my phone.
Oh, well, there's an easy solution for that.
Yeah, what's that?
Well, have you heard of Hallow app?
No.
It's the #1 Christian app in the world.
Hold on, let me have a look.
Yeah, it's got a wide range of content. It's got rosary, audio Bible in a year, daily reflections, sleep prayers, and music.
Oh, wow.
It's deepened my faith through guided prayer and meditation. And you know what else? It's got a thriving global community of believers, so you can connect and also put prayer requests.
So this app is like an all-in-one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it means they're probably going to charge an arm and a leg.
If you use our link, hello.com/SALTPODCAST, you'll actually get 3 months for free.
Oh, wow. I definitely need to do that. Thank you so much, bro.
Back to the episode.
With that being said, Abuna, we want to ask you sort of a question that we don't get to ask many of our guests, and it's more so if you could let everyone on the that's viewing our podcast, if you could give everyone a lesson or something that they want to sort of live the rest of the end of their year and the rest of their years by, what would it be?
To do the things that bring peace from God to us, because it is a gift from the Lord. When the Lord said sent his disciples to villages, he said to them, give peace. So peace is an offering from the Lord to his followers. And even psychiatric or psychologists say that we can receive peace. And there are ways that can make us peaceful. One of the ways that guarantee reception of peace is to become very close to God, expecting that a gift from God. God gives gifts, and one of the gifts that God gives is peace. And this peace may not be only for me, it will be for my partner, for my children. How? By excluding the possibilities of making God unhappy with me. Because the Lord will not punish me, but he may take his peace from me. So it's very important that it is possible to understand that we can receive peace. Especially nowadays, that's the major trouble that people receive is that they don't have peace. It's possible to receive peace.
Father, is sacrificing for God and gaining peace intertwined? Do I have to, because, sorry, from what I'm hearing, do I have to sacrifice maybe the temptations or the sins that I have in order to gain the peace that God only can grant?
That's the first thing that gives peace. The first thing. And it can be immediate. Yani, for example, if I reject sin out of my love to the Lord, then he will reward me on the spot. You'll find yourself happy and you don't know why. Why? Because you pleased him. It's impossible to do something for the Lord and don't receive back the reward. Impossible. If I offer him money, then he'll bless my business. If I offer him effort, then he'll make my life much easier. If I make him happy, he'll make me happy. And this is a very experienced fact that it happened. Even people that are not believers know that. I remember in the local newspaper, there was an essay written by an atheist specialist. And he was saying that, he said that he envy the believers because they even get faster response to get healed from their own physical diseases. How? By making God happy. Because once I make God happy, he'll make me happy. I've seen that also parents with their children. Yani, very important. It is a matter of faith. Not everyone believes in what I'm saying, but it's a matter of experience also. The one that discovered that it's possible make them very joyful that it was in my hand. Why did I lose it? In my first year of priesthood, I used to have confessions on Saturday. And it is hard sometimes because people say things that disturbs us. Then I come on Sunday كده a bit heavy. I كده drag myself to come to church. I finished the mass very joyful. So I spoke to one experienced priest. قال لي don't underestimate that the church during the mass pray for you number of times, say, and also with your spirit. Say peace be with you, and قال لي don't underestimate that. The power of the church praying for your peace gives you that. So when we serve honestly, this grace, peace that we receive. When I came to Australia, one of my colleagues that was with me in first year uni left everything and came here. And he studied here and progressed in his career and became very high position. Engineer grade 5, which is yani, very high. He took me to a restaurant, very bad, 10 stars.
Michelin star.
وبعدين قال لي come with me in my car. He got a car كده again, something like maybe $500,000 or something. So I said, how stupid that I kept all this. Had I came with him, I would be like that. Then while we were eating كده قال لي pray for me. I was lay person, his friend. He said that because I resigned. Then I said, resigned من high position. Why? قال لي I'm going to be a missionary in one of the hard countries.
Wow.
قلت له what about your wife? قال لي my wife is the one that encouraged me to do so. So he went there. There's no money. They just support him financially to eat. And then he finished and came and bought a farm. And this farm flourished. We benefit from him every year. He sends 8 boxes of fruits from his farm.
Bananas as well.
If you are clever, say to me, why 8 boxes?
Why?
Because we are 8 priests.
Thinks ahead.
So he gained a lot of peace and a lot of support from God because of the sacrifice. Any type of sacrifice is valuable. Mary Ishaq, a very great teacher in Christianity, he said that the more the sacrifice you make for love of God, the more you guarantee that the Lord will not ignore you and he'll respond for sure. And that's the end.
Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off. I have another question. What if I'm playing devil's advocate right now? It's not me, but what if I say to myself, okay, you know what? I really need this to happen, whatever it may be. Something at work. I'm going to go to church on Sunday and just give money. I'm going to donate money. But with the expectation that what I've prayed for, I want to happen. Is that in a sense wrong though? Because you're giving with the expectation of receiving something back.
It's good. Good. The Lord like us to think this way. He is the one that said, make vows and fulfill your vows. Then you receive. It's a matter of faith, the two-way communication between me and God. I offer and receive. Why not? Let us be practical. Yani, the high level of saints like Abuna Abshoy Kamil say that I can be hit by cancer. This is very high level for us. He's a great saint. But for us, no, we offer and receive. Jokefully, I say that the Lord accepts bribes. We had in the church somebody, his name is Amma Hanna, Uncle Hanna. And the first miracle out of offering God was $14,000. That may be. And he gave them to me and said, I'm dying soon. Make a very nice tomb with icons and use the $14,000. I said, okay. And I kept thinking, what can you make? Yani, then on the same night he telephoned me and said, is it important? I told him, no, not at all. Ali, what's important? I said, help needy people. Ali, okay. Can you send them to Anba Philobus, Bishop of the Mansoura? I said, okay. We sent the money to these bishops. Then he got healed from a disease and he didn't die.
Wow.
that's the first miracle for him. The other miracle also he got after a number of years dangerous situation in his health, and he asked me to visit him. He took me to his bedroom and gave a box. And inside the box everything is explained. Just take it home. And when I opened the cover, I found paper of 100
Roll?
rolls together, like
Rolls of hundreds.
and written there, this is for St. Mary Church, this is for a big one. And we had a priest meeting. He wrote money for each church, and I kept distributing that. Then Abuna Mo said to me, "Are you Santa Claus here?"
Where'd all this money come from?
And again, he was healed.
Wow.
Then the final case, he was in the hospital, and he stopped eating, and he lived on just morphine out of body pain. And I went to give him Holy Communion, and the doctor said to me, "Are you the priest in his church?" I said, "Yes." Ali, this man is very strange. Literally, he explained why. When he was young, he had rheumatic fever that affected the valves of the heart. And they told him, "Don't get married because you'll die soon out of very bad." At that time, replacement of valves was not known in Egypt. Then he said, "Well, I have money, so I start gifting things to the church." So he bought we put the chairs in something we call a chair. And he went to a very great artist that drew for him the 4 icons from 4 sides. And he said that it's very nice, it deserves to go to the Pope. Can Pope Carolus Adam? He went to Pope Carolus and gave him the very precious thing. قال له come here. فراح كده expecting by Pope Carolus to hug him, to give him a box in his chest. A very blessed box. When he went for a check, the doctor said, "I can't hear any
valve issue."
Wow. So what happened? And that doctor, at his desk, he said to me, "This man is very strange." I'll tell you why. He's been 10 days not eating, and his heart is extremely strong. He doesn't die. I said, "البوكس ده."
That fed him.
You know, Buna, since we mentioned the 8 priests at St. Mark's, I wanted to ask you a question. I find that St. Mark's, God bless St. Mark's, I feel like the congregation is growing and the churches are expanding. And it comes at a time where there's a lot of churches that are failing. And in essence, it's kind of interesting because we find ourselves buying a lot of closed churches and making them Coptic churches. So I wanted to ask you, in your advice or from what you've seen, what makes St. Mark's so successful? Because it's got probably one of the biggest congregations. And why is St. Mark's successful? But then why are some other churches closing down?
Well, I'll tell you something, but honestly, it's not... I was to teach at University of Wollongong, and one of my students, he came to see the church. He was not very close to God. And at that time, the church was something like maybe 20, 30 people that come on Sunday and nothing during the week. Then he left. He had big projects in Europe, very successful businessman. He came to visit. The church grew. And he said to me, "Can I come to sit with you for 20 minutes?" I thought that would be confession. No, it was questioned about the admin model that made the church grow. So I laughed. I said, "I tell you honestly what happened. What happened is that I was not prepared for priesthood at all. Because my dad doesn't go to church. My mom was Catholic. But when I came, I was too scared. And I was begging the Lord to support and help. And He did. He did support. So I think it's very needed that we rely on God, not self. in anything, this will make the success. Yani, many times, one visiting priest from Egypt said to us this experience. He said that before priesthood, I was clever in few things and hopeless in other things. For example, he knows the Bible very well, but he doesn't know hymnology, things like that. And after he started serving, the things that he was very clever at is the source of failure in the church. And the things that he needed help, the Lord provided. So I think the whole idea is to rely on God. And the fact that the major blessing that we received at St. Mark are the priests. Yani, you know that how Abuna Mark came, Abuna Augustine, the first priest came after me. It was a camp that I took group of youth to the same site, and he took group of youth from his church. The youth are very polite with me, but they don't enjoy my company. The language barrier, and so I felt short. Yani, they respect me, they confess even, but nothing like him. I watched him in the night. One night, they were around swimming pool, joking and nice, and it got very nice sense of humor. So I stood in the dark and raised my hand and said, Lord, I'll ask something very embarrassing. I'd like this priest to work with me, which was very unexpected.
Mm.
Yeah. A matter of 6 months, and he was shifted to North.
Wow.
And he came, he made revival. Yani.
You know,
Again-
Bona, I have to disagree with you though, because you said the youth don't enjoy your company. I think I'm not youth anymore, but I'm sure Simon.
Oh, yeah, of
I'm
course.
sure Simon enjoys your company.
Of course, but this is years ago. Maybe there was a language barrier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's a matter of yani, they used like to befriend somebody, like joke and
Oh,
understand.
you're very funny. I'll give
No,
you that. You're a funny
No,
priest.
the language is crippling me, and sometimes I sit among youth. They joke about something. I don't know what they're talking about. I have to smile as if I understood.
I hope you haven't done that with me.
Bona, I do that with Simon all the time. He will sometimes say something. I'm like, I just start laughing.
I do that all the time with George. All the time. Oh.
Okay, so I guess Simon, if you want to take this next point.
I'd want to ask on the point of the churches is, St. Mark's is obviously a very successful church, as there are many other successful Coptic Orthodox churches, but you being around for as long as you have and seeing the evolution of it, what is a few pieces of advice that you would give to in order to make it make the church more family friendly, more bringing people together? Pardon me.
I spent about 6 months very close to Abu Nabshoy Kamel, for example. I learned from him something very important, that he liked the thing to be for the glory of God, not for his own glory. For example, when they finished the big church there, he was not happy. He said that the same money that we put to build one church, we could have made 3 churches. So the idea is that I always say to my colleagues and the servants, care about the service of God, not under your supervision, but for the glory of God. For example, if I am capable to help St. Mary Church, I wouldn't hesitate. When they came in Bexley, we made a fundraising night for them. The outcome was $14,000. I took it cash and gave it to Abuna Samuel. Ali, impossible. At least 7,000 for you. And I said, Abuna, I did it on purpose because when St. Mary serves God, that's my joy, because it means that I'm interested in serving God, not interested in my. This is very important concept that makes the church happy. You know, Anba Daniel, the bishop of the monastery, he's very successful man. I tell you why he's In Adelaide, some 20 years ago, there was no permanent priest. So one priest will be taken from Melbourne, one priest from Sydney I used to go there, say, once every 3 months. One night, he wrote a book, handwritten, and I know his handwriting, he didn't write his name. On the first page, he says, this is to be read only by priests. What he wrote in this book, he wrote the advice for the priests that will come after him. For example, he said, this family have a very talented son in playing the keyboards. Utilize that. This family came from Protestant background, don't be harsh on them in terms of, the book is bulky. It took from him hours, I don't know. The whole idea was that he liked it to be successful, not under my supervision, but after I leave. Something like that happened with Abuna Bshua Kamil. He, when he started serving in America, they told him, this is the salary. It's too much. I don't take this. قالوا له طب تاخد كام؟ قال like the social security, which was maybe $100 a week. He said, I don't have children, and people donate food for me. That's more than enough. He stayed like that, say 1 or 2 years. Then one day, with the church committee, he said, my salary is very low. قالوا له, you refused. But I need. قالوا له عايز ايه؟ قال لهم triple what I take. We're shocked because it's not his nature at all. You know why? Because he knew from the Pope that he'll leave. He didn't like the priests that come after him to suffer. He said he may be married, he may have children, I don't have, but he will need. If you think about it, he like the church service to be good. And of course, if the priest is financially suffering, then it may affect his family. So this concept, for example, if I were a Sunday school servant and the adjacent room has a servant there, and I give my kids gifts much better than my colleague, then I'm not interested in God, I'm interested in myself. So I should not do that. If I as a servant keep that in my mind, then it will flourish, it will succeed. And it's very important. And this is characteristic of St. Mark Church. When any church need anything, we offer with no hesitation. When one of the churches started, they didn't have even Mangalaya, they didn't have books. We supported all these things. And the strange thing, when we do that, then we receive gifts from God, because we are not interested in our own success. If I'm interested in my own success, then I'm selfish, and the Lord, why should the Lord help me? But if I look after the service of another church, then it means what? It means that the glory of God is what's running in my mind. Then the Lord will provide. This is a very important concept. I should not be keen about the service under my supervision. I once went with Abuna Elijah visitation. Every house we visited, he spoke about the upper room media, because it is done by Abuna Mark. Then after 2 weeks, I went with Abuna Mark. Every house we visited, he spoke to them about the Igbeya for the kids, which is done by Abuna Elijah. I said, thank you, Lord, that this, the Lord has to support them, because it's clear. The top guy in that is Abuna Jonathan. Is always what runs in his mind is to help others. He knows, for example, that this area is guided by certain, then he pours his effort in that thing. And that's why, the bookshop in St. Mark was very problematic. until Abuna Johnson started serving them. For some strange, he made the change in the culture. They are very holy. They pray for each other. Because that's what runs in his mind. If any other church is in need of anything, he provides with no hesitation. And surprisingly, we receive gifts out of them. يعني حاجات غريبة صحيح بيبقى الواحد مستغرب. Once a bishop came from Egypt, serving in an area that all men die in their 40s. The reason is that they have factories of asbestos.
Oh my gosh.
And there no projection there. So all of them get this painful, it's not lung cancer, it is out of asbestos. And then Abuna Johnson came and said that please encourage people to donate to this place. He served there in Egypt, and he knows that how. So we encourage people to contribute. I said that if you don't have money, just tell me what money you'll get next week's. So some people were very generous, 15,000, 10,000. So we collected a huge amount of money. We give it to Sayyidina to take for his service there in Egypt. And in that same night, I was alone in my room and I said, did I do the right thing? Because this money must go to church, Salman. Then I said, shame on me. Are we better? We are financially much better than these people there. But I tried to resist my selfish way. Then my phone rang. Me and Abuna Mark. Congratulations. For what? And you receive a huge grant from the government. Almost the same money that you get.
Wow.
So it's a big experience that when we do things for sake of God's glory, then we get supported by Him. And it's very joyful because it makes you feel about Christ more. Yani, will I be happy that my church is growing? Shame on me. Yani, church adjacent to me, when they grow and do good things, if I have any selfish desire, then I feel that why not my church? If I really care about God's glory, then I'll be happy. So this is something very important for success. And if you know that other groups are doing the same job like you, and you become happy for them, then the Lord will make you flourish in yourselves.
I agree. I think that's great advice. Thank you for sharing that, Father. With that question said, what is the line for a church? Because the church has to be like progressive and responsive to keep up with the changing times and with people's needs. Like, for example, maybe St. Mark's Church, they're a bit more efficient with the liturgy because, people don't have the attention span to stay there for 3 or 4 hours like we used to back in the time. So at what things in a church can be flexible that we can kind of shift to keep up and be responsive? And what are the things that are not flexible and we should not change under any circumstance?
I think your experience that we started tonight saying that you send people what they need to ask is very important, because when people tell you what they need, like Rick Warren in America is a very successful man. He's now the top Protestant leader in the whole world. When he started in Saddleback, a very small place, he sent questions to all the neighbors, telling them, what do you expect from a church that you consider it relevant? And he gave them option to take. He said that none of them said Bible study, none of them. They all said that education, fun, sport. And he sent to them letters saying, I will consider that, and this is the program. You like sport, every Thursday would do, and that's why his church, from some 10 families to maybe 60,000 members in very short time. What I'm trying to say is that if the service is needed by people, they need to see that it's out of respect They say that this church respected my desire. I like this to happen. And in his book about growing the church without sacrifice, he says that it's very important to ride the wave like surfing. What's surfing exactly? I cannot go as fast except with help of a wave. That's the same in the church. If the church, say, have a program of weight or fat loss for, say, type of food, and this type of program will make people feel that the church is catering for my need, so I love them. And that's why we do programs of, say, we had programs to teach the kids of critical thinking, which is seldom taught in, say, tutoring or private schools. They speak about mathematics by English, but not critical thinking. And we had a program like that under supervision of one servant in the church, and she was very successful because parents. It starts with very young kids. She made the program very appealing to these families, that your children will learn how to think critically, and these talents that are needed. So when we do things like that, the church will love it. By the way, we'll have soon a gym in the church.
Oh, wow.
We got a grant from the government, and someone is donating also heavily. And
This is a Salt Podcast exclusive right here.
Wow.
There's going to be a gym at St. Mark's.
George is never going to leave St. Mark's Church now. Oh, my goodness.
That's
All the
amazing.
priests beware.
I love that, Abuna. That's really cool.
it's actually very...
It's amazing.
And this lovely Muslim trainer, I really love him very much because he's donating heavily for this equipment.
Wow.
And in a very polite way, he says that, would you kindly accept that I'll get the... He made orders for bars.
Wow. What a legend.
These people, sporty people are very nice. There's nothing, no fanatism at all. He's really loves the environment of helping others.
So, Abuna, you mentioned the stuff that we should be doing. What's the stuff, like to be progressive and responsive to people, what's the things in the church that we shouldn't change to preserve the apostolic tradition? What's the thing, like the liturgy we shouldn't touch, or like certain traditions, I know some churches are becoming more flexible, for example, with having more women being involved in the liturgy in terms of responses. What is the line here?
Well, it's hard to draw any line because mentalities are different. Some people are very fanatic, and some people are more flexible. But I think it's safer to, if you like to make any change, make it slowly, not abruptly. Some people will be disturbed. For example, if we allow girls to have more important role in reading or singing, like other Orthodox churches, like Greek, like Macedonian, we will disturb some people. So better to make it slowly. And thanks to the Lord that the majority of girls are humble enough that they don't get disturbed by not being offered leading positions. No, it's not undermined. Some other churches speak about why not to ordain women as priests. This is not disturbing the cause, because even men escape from the who in his right mind
wants to be a priest?
Wow. You're not wrong there. I know we've taken a lot of your time, Father, so we're going to skip a few things for you, okay? We're going to go to the best and last segment of the night. It's called the salty segment. So what that is it's a few rapid fire questions. Rapid fire means we ask it, you can answer one word, one line, 10 lines, whatever you like.
Okay.
But just so we get a clear understanding of everything. So it's a whole range of different questions. So we'll start with the first one so you get an understanding. What is one word for your vision for the church in the next 10 years?
It It will flourish. It will flourish because يعني, we are beloved by God. And over the last few years, the Lord supported the Coptic Church a lot. And I think we are pleasing God in living in the history of martyrdom enhanced the feeling of the Copts. Yani, what happened for the martyrs in Libya? They affected the whole world. So have peace. We'll be good.
Beautiful.
What's one book other than the Bible that changed your life?
Maybe books of Maris Ha is very deep and very useful.
Is there English versions of his books?
He is British.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So what's his name? Sorry.
Callistus Ware.
Oh, Callistus Ware.
He's sorry, Maris Ha.
Maris Ha.
كنت بقول Callistus Ware said that I never expected something that come from Maris Ha. Maris Ha has many books.
Yeah.
You speak Abuna or Sins, he'll give you the Abuna or Sins adores this man.
Yeah.
It's very useful books written by him. He knows. And
Is there any one in particular? So people can look it up afterwards.
that's يعني I always get them for free from Abuna or Sins.
I'm noticing a trend here. Bananas, books, money. Everything's coming. I want to go visit the room one time.
Yes, yes, to be friend to Abuna or Sins, and I assure you that you don't need money anymore. Just you need
pardon me. Sorry. Continue.
half his salary is buying books for the other 7 priests.
Humility. What is one habit every Christian should start today or should want to adopt today?
Well, to understand the power of being humble. It's a promise that he gives grace to the humble people. And there's something make يعني, God happy with us when he said that learn from me. Then you find comfort to your heart. تجد راحة لقلوبكم. يعني he said learn from me. Learn what? Being humble.
Hey, Simon. Simon.
1 sec, George, please. What was that for?
Haven't you heard about the Daily Wisdom Well?
No!
I think it's really important that you take a look at it. I've been reading it a lot lately.
366 biblical reflections for Christian business leaders?
Yeah, it's actually really good. I've been reading it a lot, and basically what's great about it, it's only 5 minutes a day, making it very doable if you have a very busy schedule. And it's not like generic devotional material. It actually addresses distinct pressures, ethical decisions, and dilemmas that leaders in business face.
Wow, and there's one for each and every single day of the year.
Every single day of the year, you got a little verse and a little contemplation.
Right, hold on, let me check my birthday, February 1st. Oh, loving God. Let me check what's your birthday again?
You don't know my birthday?
Anyways, tell me more.
What's great about this is you can go to our link in our bio and basically just put code SALTPODCAST when you go to purchase and you'll get 25% off.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah. Well, back to the episode. What is your favorite part of the Orthodox liturgy?
Maybe the instant that we beg the Lord for something. For example, the offertory. There's some hymns that will make. Today we had a visiting priest that was on his knees while they were the tune that they say after saying Kyrie eleison about the Pope Carolus made it very clear that it's the time of mercy. Especially the very early versions of the liturgy, which are historically before the Gospels. When the Gospels were written, they dragged from the first written documents were the liturgy. That's why we say that if something in the liturgy is not in the Bible, it has the same power, if not even more. And there are things that we say in the liturgy that are not included in the Bible. We respect it exactly the same level of the Bible.
I know this question is going to have a lot of answers, but I'm excited to hear any of them. What is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
The teaching of Abuna Salib Surreal in Egypt, his acts. I give you an experience with Abuna Salib Surreal. During the months of Kiyak, the church provides food because they finish after midnight and they take half an hour for food such that they fast at midnight. And some people donate fish to the church, but not enough to feed everyone. Enough to feed, say, 20 people. They meant it to be for the priests particularly because there's no time for the priest to go home. And I didn't like that because even Abdel Nasser, when he goes to Sard al-Ali, he sits on the floor and eat fool وبصل ومش عارف ايه. Said, shame on the church that they invite high rank people to eat fish and the rest to eat fool. I was, of course, from the people that ate fool, yani, who am I? But after graduation, they selected me to be Sunday school servant. What do you call him? Coordinator. And because I became important, all of a sudden, they invited me to the fish. So I went to there. Abuna Salib Surreal was serving people, put plate on me and put nice fish. I couldn't eat. I looked at it. I said, why aren't you eating? I said, I like to eat fool. I said, go. I said that he'll be unhappy with me. No. He wrote in his diary that next year, nothing like that will happen. 3 weeks, everyone will eat fool, and the 4th week, everyone will eat fish.
Wow.
And next year, on the same day, everyone passes by. He was sitting there. Then he stood up and hugged me and said, thank you, son, that you taught me a lesson. يا نهار اسود. وانا الصليب ده كان يعني عامل زي بطر كده. انا teach يعني he taught us this يعني very 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 humble. So it's not words that affected me, it is action from this man. He was cousin of Pope Carolus.
Wow.
Blessed family. What Abuna is the most common sin that you hear in confession?
There's no need to answer this question.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, because what is your advice to overcome that sin? So,
Well, I had a person coming from Egypt with a very bad sin. I don't like to say it, but he was out of this sin. He was treated in mental hospitals, and I felt that he had to be punished because without punishment, he doesn't feel that I'm forgiven. So I give him what we call penance, something very humiliating. Then his family came and said, did you expel the devil in him? I said, devil what? But I knew that when we do something bad to God, then naturally we lose peace, we lose confidence. By the way, this person was very good, but you know, when sin happened, like with David the psalmist, it started by something, going back, down, until very...
grows up.
Yeah. But the good thing is that we have a Redeemer, a very strong Redeemer that he likes us to be happy. And he doesn't like us to be embarrassed or exposed. The best verse that I love, when the Pharisees spoke to Jesus saying that, how come that you are befriending sinful people? He said, I came for them. So,
you've been a priest for a long time. We're not going to say how long. But if you could go back to being 18 again, when you were, we can say my age. If you could go back to being 24, hopefully you weren't a priest by then, but if you could, what is one message that you would give to your younger self and in turn the younger generation?
Well, this same question was given by Billy Graham to all the pastors in America and Canada. What if you become young again? The outcome of this question that he asked all the pastors? They said, number one, we'll pray more. Number two, I'll spend more time in the service and things like that. And this is really the thing that elder feel that I was short in it. Yani, if I become young again, then definitely more dedication to the Lord, which is the Bible advice, to remember God in your youth. And I thank the Lord that He overlooked my previous sins, which was an experience. And the priest that invited me for priesthood didn't know my history. So I said to him, before you invite me, give me some 20 minutes, I'll tell you who am I. And I collected the very bad things that happened in my life. And he received it as if it's يعني it's good. good اللي أنا عملته ده. قال لي عشان when anyone comes to you with sinful situation, you say to the Lord, as you forgive me and give me a chance, give them the same chance. It's very important to understand that that's the reason that we love our Lord. That our bad history, He forgot about our bad history.
Always.
So finally, Father, you've been with us from the beginning, all the way from episode 1 now to episode 20. So what I would like to ask you is, this podcast, through God's grace and blessing, has reached over 100 different countries. And we'd love you to say a closing prayer for everyone that is listening to this podcast, no matter where they are in the world or what they're doing at the moment. They can bow down in prayer with you and pray with us.
Well, I may repeat the words from Abuna Maximus Antoni. He says that the most joyful time as a parent when my children speak to me. The same with God. He is very happy when we speak to Him. So we should not rob the Lord from this joy. He loves us. And that's the reason for His coming a human. It was a plan from God. And enjoy, it's a wonderful thing. But we have to know Him, because sometimes we pray either absent-minded or not knowing who we are talking to. The Creator, the one that is capable to change the whole world. He is very capable. He loves us, and He enjoys listening to us. There's a verse in the Bible that says that His pleasure is in human, and that is one of the reasons for His incarnation, to become a man such that we can develop a stronger relationship with Him. Some religions, out of respect to the Lord, they don't like to speak to Him as a father or as a friend. But they should understand His nature. He loves that. He loves us to speak to Him. It's very joyful. One of our monks in Pati was very happy, to the extent that he said, something wrong with me. I'm happy for a reason. And he spoke to Ambassador Ramon, the leader of monastic life. And he said to him, because you pray. That's simple. If you pray, then you'll have joy. I listened to a speaker, Abuna Yohanna from Egypt. Now he's serving in Perth, about the effect of prayer in our life. I finished listening to him, and I rushed to my room, locked the door to pray. He made us fall into love of prayer. It is discovering.
Father, can I just say something? I know I shouldn't be saying this because I don't want to maybe give someone pride or anything, but one thing I've definitely noticed with you is no matter in what situation, you always give credit to someone else. You're a very, very humble and blessed man, and I don't want to delve on it too much, but even in the case of when we first started this, you gave us an opportunity and thousands of people were able to hear your wisdom. And I think if anyone should take anything from this episode, it's to try and live a life of humility, to always give credit to others, because I've noticed in anything we ask you, anything you do, you always find the good in other people, and it's a very good trait we all wish to have.
So then, Simon, that's the truth. That's the truth. The church is filled. I remember Abuna Antonius was telling me that he used to be a doctor, and he said that a patient come to me. I said to him, "You have to sleep early. I sleep 8 p.m. You have to stop smoking and alcohol." He said, "I never smoked." Then he says that I'm tempted to bow on him and say, "Read the absolution for me." He said that that's the case, and it is very amazing that how people are. I learned a lot from the spirituality of people, including both of you. I say to you exactly the same. And your language is, I have to study the way you answer things and the way to ask. As George is a role model for me about trusting God, and may the Lord flourish your servant to His glory and keep you always happy. And people around you have this joy.
Thank you so much,
Amen.
Abuna. And actually, one of the questions that someone asked us was to ask you, how is it that you, being one priest with such a big congregation, can have an impact on every single member of the congregation and make each one feel very special? And I think that's very true.
Because they are special. They are. It's the teaching of Abuna Bashir Kamal. He says that if your heart is wide enough to include people honestly, then the Lord will make people feel about it. But I'm very, very lucky to be a Salmak church, because there's something there. We had high quality of people beyond the limit, including your dad and mom, of course, and yourself. Something very joyful that we know that the Lord loves to. We've seen many miracles in the church, many. Something that not many people know, that we had an icon dripping oil, and Abuna Wasinus ordered me not to say that. He said that, no, you know and I know, and that's it. Which is amazing. It was oil that is created by miracle. So there's blessing طبعا there, and especially that when we fail in something, then the Lord comes with a solution. May the Lord continue to bless us and cover our mistakes.
Thank you so much, Abuna. Thank you for your time. We've kept you very late. We really appreciate spending time with you.
We all want to sleep.
Thank you very much, Abuna.
I really give thanks to God of knowing you.
Thank you, Abuna.